Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, August 8th, 2019 Civilian Police Oversight Board meeting. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me.
What case number is being addressed right now?
144-19.
Thank you.
The reason I'm here tonight is that I'm urging the board not to, not to approve closing my case. I have overwhelming evidence that my complaint that I put in is, again, I have overwhelming evidence against the complaint that would show that I am correct in what I'm complaining about against APD and also against CPOA. I was not given the opportunity to speak at an investigation. I was never called. I guess I'm supposed to, according to CASA, I'm supposed to be contact and allowed an somebody to investigate me and have it taped and whatnot. That was not done. The proof I have, the reason I'm here is the complaint was about 2 officers that I stated were not doing their job. They let a person who was criminally trespassing just go. Didn't ask for IDs, nothing, just let them go. They told their commander that they indeed checked and she had no warrants. We are very familiar with this woman because she lived in the house as a squatter for several months. She had no rights to the home, no rights to the property. The property was boarded up on May 1st. And they let her go. She has quite the history. I have 2, not 1, not none, as stated by CPOA, 2 outstanding warrants that this woman had at the time of this incident. So they didn't check. That's what was in my case, that the officer said that they checked. She had no outstanding warrants. CPOA said they checked. She had no outstanding warrants. I find 2 that were in between the dates of this incident. So my concern is that I have copies of this information for everybody. My concern is that APD didn't do their job, CPOA didn't do their job. We live in a city with a high crime rate where people, for whatever reason, have a hard time trusting the police department. I've never had a problem. I'm not here as an adversary. I am here to hopefully training. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. Yes?
May I ask a question? Is all of the information you have attached to your complaint? Do you know if your complaint was submitted with all the evidence you have in your hand now?
Not at that time, no, because I called to find out what was going on again. I'm sorry. I never had the opportunity.
Okay, so we have just said that we're going to take this back to the case review committee.
Okay.
And 4 of us, Ms. Vanderventer, Ms. Pruitt, myself, and Ms. St. John are all on the case review committee.
Okay.
So if you would give a copy of that information to Amanda Bustos here, we'll make sure that we review all of your evidence when we review the case.
Well, there's even more than what's here. This has been a nightmare for the neighbors in my neighborhood. It's a home that was taken over by squatters, gunshots, SWAT calls, people having to move their children from front bedrooms, afraid they're going to get hit by a stray bullet in the middle of the night, being displaced in your own home, not being able to have your children play in their backyards. I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but it's been hell.
It's a measure of how important it is to you.
And it didn't need to be held from the very beginning. It didn't need to be held. There are things that could have been done that I'm just finding out now. And this could have been maybe over in a month or 2, but we had to endure 8 months of living like prisoners in our own homes. But I have the copies
We're interested
here.
in any of the information you want to share with the
And-
staff or with the board.
Yeah,
and
I
the
have 3
committee
copies
will
of
take a
everything
look.
that I have here, and I would be more than happy to, I would hope that I could speak to somebody in regard to this, because there's more to the story than what I'm saying
Well,
right
we'll
now.
visit with Mr. Harness and find out what his view of this is and what information he had at the time, but now we have all the information as far as I understand it, right? We have
Right.
all your information, and
Well,
we'll take a look at it with him and
The
figure it out.
agency should have had this information. It's public knowledge. But I was told in my complaint that there were no warrants.
I
So
understand.
Somebody
what
didn't
you
do
said.
their job.
Okay.
So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for...
I have a
and
question.
just a
Sure.
moment.
Chelsea, go ahead.
So you haven't received any correspondence from us, right?
Nothing. No.
Okay. So yeah, in addition to, there's some process left because we're not making, the board is not making a decision on your case tonight. But ultimately, when you get the board's decision, if you're still unsatisfied, there's one additional round of recourse, which is the appeal process.
Okay.
And that will be outlined in the correspondence that's sent to you. So kind of, there's still a little bit of process left, and so bear with us in that.
Okay, now would I be allowed to, is somebody, an investigator, going to interview me?
That's what we'll decide at the committee meeting,
Okay.
is whether
I
or
didn't-
not it should be administratively closed.
Yeah.
And we'll listen to the staff's reason for why they think it should. We'll look at the evidence that you supplied and take a look
Okay.
and see if we agree.
Okay.
And then you would receive a communication one way or the other.
Okay. And how long does this usually take?
Well, our meeting is the 27th of August,
Okay.
so that's when, it would be after that.
Chair Galloway, just a point of clarification. Ms. Cianci did receive a draft of the administratively closed letter through an IPRA request. So she did receive a draft copy of the findings letter along with the copy of the complaint that was entered in blue team by Commander Olvera from Northwest.
This was after the fact. This was after I found out my case was administratively closed, and I requested this information.
Just out of curiosity, because the board hasn't made a decision on your case yet, how did you come by the information that it was already administratively closed?
I called, because I hadn't heard anything from anybody, and it was, a few weeks. And that's when I spoke to Ed, and he told me it was administratively closed. And I said, what do you mean? I said I wasn't even offered the opportunity in interview. And he said, well, we found that they didn't violate any SOPs. Speaking of which, I have probably 20 SOPs from the settlement, the City of Albuquerque settlement, I'm sorry, I have my information here. It's from, I apologize. But between the policies and procedures for APD, the APD standard operating procedures, administrative, and other procedural, there are quite a few that I've found.
And that's the
Even-
purpose of
and-
our reviewing it,
Yeah,
is to
and-
take a look at all that
Okay.
and to see what the staff decided and
Okay.
see what we think about that. And then it will come to this board next month
Okay.
as well, so for the board to vote on it as well.
Okay, I thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for
coming.
bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
Yes.
As far as the administratively closed term here goes, I'm looking through our policies and procedures here, and it does define that the executive director shall identify and recommend one of the following dispositions. So until it's approved by the board, it's only a recommendation to administratively close. It's not technically closed.
That's correct.
And that was the reason for my question of how did you determine it was administratively closed? Thank you for that, Eric.